Hello, and welcome to the Permaculture Vine podcast, where we talk about permaculture people and projects. My name's Cormac and I'm your host. And today we have Prema Walker on the show. Welcome, Prema.
Thank you, Cormac.
So, welcome. Do you want to just give us a quick, short introduction before we get into the main story, please?
Sure. My name is Prema Walker. Currently, I'm located in Palm Springs, California, USA. I'm the owner of Prema's Permaculture and Composting. Through my business, I help people educating in permaculture principles, how to use permaculture in day-to-day life, and I focus on composting specifically in our area. And I'm turning my backyard into an urban farm currently, so I can give a live example and a blueprint to other people like me, saying them, telling them, hey, you don't need acres and acre, wherever you are, if you know permaculture principles and ethics, you can turn it into a thriving food forest or garden. So that's the gist of my business.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one because I love composting. It's one of my favorite things. I'm quite happy in the garden out there turning compost all day. It's for me it's a great way of shutting the brain down, and as well I'm also sort of summer thing, urban setting. So I'm looking
Yes.
forward to hearing
Yeah.
about your project. So do you want to just start at the start? How did you get into this, and where did you first hear the term permaculture?
It's in 2021 when I first heard the word permaculture because I want to grow my food and I learned about compost, but I still felt some disconnection. I'm an engineer by training, I'm a mechanical engineer, so I always look like I can sense that there is a missing link here, something is missing. Then I found the word permaculture I'm literally Googling, and permaculture came up, and then I started digging into it. So 2021 is the first time I ever heard the word permaculture in my life.
So
And
you were growing food already and composting at that stage?
uh, yes, I'm already
Yeah.
composting at that stage,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Because I know composting and I wanted to grow food. Our local universities have like master gardeners program and everything, but they are like too specific. They did not give me the whole picture. And I'm looking for whole picture of how these things are connected with each other, because it's so strict as a when you take these trainings, you can do only certain things, but they don't know how to use compost or how to do compost. So when I am looking, hey, is there anything that can connect all these things and permaculture surface? And since then, I'm going deep and deep into that rabbit hole.
Yep. So another engineer in permaculture. So I'm an engineer as well, part time. There's a lot of us in permaculture.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
it's easy for engineers to understand because our
mm,
main goal is to put systems together and make them function. So if somebody has a little bit of background in engineering, I think it's very easy for them to see permaculture. This makes sense.
yeah, it's you say the systems together. So yeah. So what changed when you to your composting and your growing when you heard about permaculture in 2021?
Mhm. The one thing that changed for me is I grew up in India with my grandparents who are still farmers, and rice is the main crop they cultivate. While growing up, I saw many farmers committing suicide in our villages and throughout the country. Back then, we don't have a lot of social media or per se electricity in our villages and everything. That is what really connected to me when I learned about permaculture and when I compared it with what happened, to the farmers in India when I was a kid. That really changed the whole the way I'm looking at the world. It's like those farmers were dying not because they lost the crop, not just because of that. There are so many layers behind it that made them to lose the crop and they lost their lives. But for that, they are depleting soil from nutrients and they don't have good management systems like how to do water nutrient management. And first of all, they don't have that education or support from anybody. So that's like that became a clear picture to me when I discovered permaculture and learned about it, took some classes. That became really clear to me why farmers were committing suicides all over the world, not only in India.
And why was that? Was that to do with the reliance on fertilizers, or was it just not a
We
holistic system?
Uh, it used to be a holistic whole system like permaculture in practice. Once I learned about permaculture ethics and principles, I'm like, this is what my grandparents did when I was a baby crawling in the mud and did not care about manure in the yard. But from I think around 98 or around the time 1998 is when I observed like we have bags and bags of fertilizers, we don't have reliable water source during summer, and we have to sell one after another our cattle because we don't have the money to feed ourselves, and we don't certainly don't have anything to feed them. So those things are like stacked. I think that's what, that's a word we use, right? Stacking of functions. But for them, it's negative stacking. It's not positive stacking where farmer has to lose one after another, one thing after another thing.
Yeah, I've heard a story from a neighbor of yours in Pakistan. Basically,
Mhm.
the the big companies came in with the fertilizers, crops went up, but
Yeah.
then they gave them genetically modified seeds that reacted with the fertilizer, and then the bumper crops for the first few years, and then all of a sudden they gave it to them free, got
Yes.
them almost hooked on it like a drug, and then started charging them, and then
Yeah.
charged them, outpriced them basically.
Mhm.
Was that a similar story?
That is a similar story. Exactly, that is what happened. I mean, now I'm learning those things through other documentaries, but back then we don't know. We don't know why my grandparent or other farmers in the village lost the crop, or why somebody committed suicide because they lost the crop, and mainly that income is their only source of income. So throughout the year they might not have any other sources. So they're counting on that money to get their daughters married or to send their son to the school, go to a different place. So, and yeah, that's exactly the story to sum up.
Yeah, it's just a similar story everywhere. It's not it's shocking how that happens.
Yeah, yeah, it's really shocking. The main thing is like education, farmers not knowing these things and how they are getting manipulated.
Yeah. Is there any sign of that reversing now?
Uh, I'm not in India. I haven't been there in the past 10 years, but from what I'm seeing in on social media right now, I think it's not a reversing, but it took a different path where now, because of climate controlled agriculture, is becoming a big thing in India. So most of the peoples are getting away from cultivating in soil and they're going to climate controlled hydroponic systems. So there is economically growth, how people are making money by growing crops in India, but I guess that is not ideal in my world.
No, I think hydroponics has its place, but
Yes.
to build a whole industry off it, I don't think it's a good idea. I think
Yes.
hydroponics might work for me or you in our small urban
Mhm.
backyards, but
Mhm.
scaling up because the amount of uh, resource you need that you would use up, I
Yes.
think would be soon adds up.
Yeah, that's my concern right now because hydroponics have their place, aquaculture has its place, everything has its place, but we are telling people to leave soil behind so they can run after that source of income. So I see a
Yeah,
lot farmers coming away from cultivating in soil and moving to this hydroponic systems or other kinds of climate controlled agriculture, which is terrifying to me.
yeah, because again, you're relying on on the purchase of
Mhm.
the feeds and the fertilizers and the I don't know what you call it the what do you call it in hydroponics the
Amendments,
chemicals.
the nutrients,
Yeah,
organic.
the chemical nutrients, and somebody
Yeah.
has to produce them for you.
Yeah.
Where the soil is regenerative, it
Mhm.
builds itself if you take
Yeah.
care of it and feed it, it grows. So I don't understand how that could scale up without causing damage.
It is
Uh,
scaling up so fast, and there are. I think it's a good marketing strategy the companies are using, where they are getting people to hooked up on this climate controlled agriculture system that do not have any limit. Yes, it has its place, but right now there is no limitation on that. So people can just leave soil behind, leave their village, and move to a different place and start a climate controlled agriculture system, and they're becoming millionaires, which is a good thing. But at the same time, you left the soil behind.
left the soil, left the country. If you say they're trying to push them on the cities, that's it's not. It's yeah. Um, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So, 2021, you discovered permaculture. How did that evolve in the Primus permaculture and composting?
I when I learned permaculture, when I'm doing the classes, I wanted to make $1 trillion through my business. That's my dream, because I grew up in poverty and I understand the power of money. I told myself I want to make so much money so I can help people, but at the same time I took the basically the permaculture ethics, it was for the planet and for the people and have a fair share, So I took the ethics and said, how can I follow those ethics throughout my life? Am I leaning towards one end of the spectrum because it's so convenient and makes money, or how am I balancing it? So whatever I was doing in my business, every step I am checking it against the permaculture ethics and making sure I'm ticking every box every time. So I'm at a point where right now I'm like, no, I want to start. My business has to serve these three purposes. If I'm not serving one of the purposes, I'm not doing that contract. I don't want to do it because that's against my principles. So that's how it evolved, and we are in a very good spot. I don't know whether you heard of Palm Springs in California. We are in the desert, and we are a good, really tourist spot. Summers become really, really hot, 125 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's a really good lab for me to experiment things, because we don't have we have water, we are on municipal water, but at the same time summers are too hot. So what can I do, what can I test here that can tolerate the heat during summer? So it became a really good experiment project for me to turn my backyard into an urban farm. And for my business, I think California mandated composting under a Senate bill called 1383. So nobody in California should send organic waste, which includes food waste, agriculture waste, anything. They cannot send it to the landfill. They have to compost it, divert it, compost it, and every city and every county has to buy back the compost so they can help the community like in a circular way. So that law made it easier for me to take permaculture principles, ethics, and turn that into a business actually. So that law gave me a really good foundation.
So that law inspired your business.
That law boosted my business,
You
like I
boosted
would
your business.
say.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
if there is no law and if nobody is paying me the money, I will be doing composting just in my backyard to grow my food. I won't be going out and
yeah.
teaching people.
Right. So let's take it back to you're growing food in your garden, you're composting, and what sparked the idea to start a business out of it? And do you want to talk us through that?
Yes, in 2021, I was volunteering at a farmers market, and a friend of mine asked me, "Hey, I'm starting a group for composting because it's the state law, and we have somebody who wants to help us." So the state gave some money, set aside some money for community composting, and somehow I got pulled into that, and that was my first time learning about composting at a community level. Like, how do you make community composting not in your backyard, but how do you manage this? So I got 5-day training on soil stewarding, like how do we steward the soil. We came back, and they started hiring me as a site operator because I'm good at making systems and I'm learning fast. I'm taking every training I can find that is official. So I started with one project and then I realized how big the impact will be. So then I started, then I said, okay, I'm going to turn this into a business where I go and teach people to do this. I want to establish community composting sites. So I was able to secure contracts with one group where I was managing 11 community composting sites for them. So
Wow.
that was my business.
Yeah. So uh, there's a few things to ask about that. So community composting. How is that different from your backyard composting that you're doing?
Not necessarily because my backyard is also one of the sites that received the funding to do community composting. Basically, we are composting for the community where we collect food scraps from the community. The community can drop at these locations, and I go there. There will be volunteers present from that specific organization wherever we are composting. It might be a church, it might be a high school. So I'll have volunteers and I will train them how to do this composting scientifically. And we just compost and then establish garden beds or gardens. And my backyard is a side project, but they said, hey, do you want to become one of the community composting sites? You're doing this anyway, so do you want to officially become a community composting site? And I said, yeah, I'll do it because I have a huge backyard and it's hard for me to do it just by myself.
Right. So do people bring their waste to your yard?
Uh, um, Very few. My main source of organic materials is from a farmer's market. So we have farmer's market, and out here, citrus like oranges, grapefruit are really, really famous. This is like a citrus country. I collect almost 1,000 pounds of orange peels every week. So on top of that, I don't want to take a lot from the community. I have two or three people that volunteer with me that bring their buckets, like their food scraps from their kitchens. But mostly it's coming from the farmers market, orange peels, and there are two other farmers that gives me their carrot stalks or whatever they don't want it. So yeah, around 100,000 pounds to 1,200 pounds a week.
Wow. So there is a thing that's always said here when you're composting is, particularly as well when you're feeding it to worms, is don't put
Mhm.
onions in it and don't put citrus in it.
I
So
know.
how is that myth? Can you bust that myth once and for all about putting citrus in your compost? Uh,
Because I'm doing thermophilic composting, my compost bus gets up to 170, 160 degrees Fahrenheit. And, the official training I received in the US, we have something called United States Composting Council. They do trainings, they do conferences. They're actually setting the stage for composting in the US, but it's worldwide. If you go on their website, you can learn so much from there. And I took training from them how to properly manage compost piles, how to run them like really professionally up to the industry standards. So my piles has to go to 131 degrees Fahrenheit. So at that point there are no worms in there because it's too hot for them. And because our summers are so hot, we don't have any native earthworms like composters specifically. So we don't have red wigglers, we don't have an African night crawlers out here. But I have them in my home because I do vermicomposting with worms separately using coffee grounds, mushrooms, something. But my main composting is hot composting. And then once it's done, then I can take it and feed it to the worms. For them at that point, it's not citrus, it's not garlic, it's like, it's compost.
so that's what I do in a slightly similar way. Uh, so I take when I had my full system up and running, I had chickens on uh, like a deep bedding wood chip,
Okay.
and then every 6 months I'd clean that out, and then I would
Okay.
add the chicken compost
Uh-huh.
to. I would also have a cold composting bin set up.
Okay.
I would also collect coffee grounds,
Mm-hmm.
and I would mix all three together. make it go thermophilic. It would go up the
Yeah.
uh, we're like 70 Celsius here. I'm not sure what that is
Yeah.
in Fahrenheit. And then at that, then what I would find is I would have take that pile once the heat dies down. I would turn it say once a week, twice a week. And
Hmm.
then after a month, I would put it in a corner and let it
Hmm.
cool down. And then in that stage, the worms would move in,
Yeah.
and I would just let the worms move about. So that's the system I have for my backyard composting.
Yeah, I am afraid to put the worms in my compost because I have like two different breeds of worms that I'm working with, red wigglers and African night crawlers. So in California, we have like a invasive species called jumping worm. So once if that worm get introduced into your compost or a yard or something, it's like you're setting things on fire for them. So
Yeah,
I was very careful not to add worms to my raised beds or to my compost. I will take the vermicompost and dilute it with water and aerate it, then spray it on the soil. But I just don't take worms and put it in there because I'm worried if the jumping worm is going to come. If there is one jumping worm in that mix, is going to take over the whole yard. There is a lot of research on vermicomposting actually from North Carolina State University. There used to be a professor that did annual conferences just on vermicomposting. She retired recently, but I attended her last conference in the US, and for 3 days, we are talking about worms. That's it. So that gave me a lot of insight on what to do, what not to do when we are dealing with earthworms.
yeah. I got a completely different climate here, so
Yeah. Yeah.
we, we don't really get above 20 or go below freezing that much. We do a
Yeah.
wee bit, so the worms are quite happy out my back and they can move. We have the New Zealand flatworm here,
Oh, okay.
which is an invasive species. It came in pots.
Okay.
So that's really proliferating across Ireland now. And they eat the earthworms and the red wigglers.
Oh,
So I have them out my back. I find them, but I kill them every time I see them and squash
yeah.
the eggs.
Yeah.
I tend to burn them just. So it's not good. But yeah, I think that's a good example of in permaculture. Like it depends on where you are in your area and
Yeah.
your circumstances that you do different things.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to go around and kill the jumping worms because they'll be jumping all over the place. I'm like, no, I'm taking slow and steady steps. I don't want to rush this. I just don't want to buy a bunch of worms and throw it in my garden bed. No, I don't want to do that. So I just contain them. I do it in a container. I have like 4 containers right now with worms, and they're happy indoors because summers are really hot. I cannot have them outside. They will be like crisps.
Yeah, toast.
Toast, I had to
Well,
literally change like frozen water bottles. Like I'll freeze the water bottles, put them on the worms during summer, even with the AC on, and so that they cool down. So I have to take some extreme measures out here to keep the worms happy.
yeah, no, I've been there myself. I was very careful the first few years with the worms, but then
Yeah.
I just let them in the garden and they've been okay.
Yeah.
Now every time they're in them in soil now, so they're everywhere. I left a brick and there's a pile of worms under there, so I'm lucky because of our climate. They seem to
Yeah.
find a warm corner and they seem to survive.
Yeah.
Um, oh, great stuff. So they you started getting contracts for.
Mhm.
How did you find that when you were starting out?
So that the other organization that we started together, we took the training together and we worked on the first project together. And then I made my choice. You know what? I'm going to do this as a business, so you can hire me. And so they hired me. It's like a give and take. We are balancing out each other, where they will go wet for this projects and they will hire me over there to train somebody on the project. So I just go and train them. But those projects just ended. So right now I am working with the cities and the counties, like our governments out here, and we have a farming community out here as well. So I want to go and help farmers. That's my goal. It's like, hey, the law says the city needs to buy back compost. So why don't I help you to do composting at a very good level where the city can buy it from you? So that way the farmer is happy, the city is happy, and I can make my money. I just came out of that huge project where we are done with like 8 different sites on February 28th. So that contract, the government money ended, that grant ended. So now I'm focusing on my business, which is like, okay, how can I go to schools? How can I go to farmers? How can I go to cities and talk to them? I already started those conversations. And at the same time, I'm working on my backyard. The greatest thing is I'm a for-profit business, and everybody told me I cannot apply for grants because for-profits don't get grants. But in the year of 2024, I was able to secure $220,000 in a grant to turn my backyard into an urban farm, creating 3 jobs.
Wow.
So that
Well
grant
done.
is, yeah, that's a lot of money. I mean, the day I got it, I was like, is this true or not? I need to double check because, everybody thought this is a crazy idea, turning my own backyard into an urban farm in the middle of the city when the city is like a tourist heaven. We have a lot of tourism, and everybody's like, why do you have mulch in the front yard? The real estate value is going to go down. And my point is to them, my question to them is like, don't you want to pay another $100,000 more for a house that has 20 fruit trees where you can eat them and you don't have to buy fruits at all? So we are not looking it that way. We are looking, why do you want to compost in the backyard? Why do you want to grow food in the backyard? Because I can eat it and I want to raise the real estate value of my home because it has 30 fruit trees. And I want to show people they can do this. So that was my big idea. And I wanted to create 3 jobs. And I told them how I can do this in my own backyard. And a local organization gave me that money, $220,000. Plus, I participated in any pitch competition I can find locally. I participated in classes that I can find, and I was able to get another $30,000 in pitch competitions. Like, I won that money for telling my business idea. Hey, this is what I do, this is what I wanted to do. And I made $30,000 in pitch competitions in 2024.
Right, that's I'm intrigued now because basically I want to do the same thing. I'm not sure what on what scale, but I was more trying to make a demonstration site, but I never
Mhm.
actually thought that right I could turn this on the because my idea was to have several small micro enterprises like making compost,
Mhm.
making vermicompost, um, just small scale enterprises, seed starch, plant starch.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, so what size is your property
Uh, Geez, my backyard
backyard?
and backyard is like 7,000 square feet. It's not super huge compared to acres. It's 7,000 square feet. How do I convert that?
Just googling. I'm just googling
Yeah,
it
you're just Googling. So it's 7,000 square feet. It's not a big, and it's like a wonky shape. It's not like a perfect square or rectangle. It's in a weird shape that I have to work with it.
wow, it's like point two of an acre, 0.16 of an acre.
Yeah, this property is like, it's less than an acre, like three-quarter of an three-fourth of an acre, but the backyard is a little bit huge.
Yeah, 0.16 of an acre. That's
Yeah.
that's my entire property. Thinks 0.08 of an acre.
Okay. Just to be clear, this is not my property. I'm married to a man that owns the house. So officially, I'm renting the backyard from my husband for $1 per year, because I registered the backyard as a farm because that's where I want to conduct my farming operations. at a very small scale, right? I don't have acres and acres. So now I get to go to the United States Department of Agriculture, and they have programs for unconventional farmers. So
Right.
I'm not a traditional farmer. I don't have acres and acres. I'm a non-traditional farmer, and they have programs for non-traditional urban farmers specifically. So now I get to go to them and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I need help. So United States Department of Agriculture is helping me a little bit with my project as well.
Well, that's very good information to share with people who are thinking about doing it. And it's certainly not a substantial amount of money there. So what kind of micro enterprises are you doing on the farm?
Right now, I'm focusing on composting because I just came out of a big project. My backyard project literally started on March 1st. Till June, I am focusing on like collecting 1,000 pounds a week and composting it because I'm working with some college students that are doing masters in regenerative studies. So they're designing the backyard for me completely. I told them, hey, I can make things work, but I cannot make them look nice. That's not my job as an engineer. I can make things work together. So they're going to design me so it's very pleasing to the people to come and look at the garden and say, okay, I want to do this. So uh, first of all, composting for sure. Then I want to grow some vegetables. Moringa is my favorite. Okra is my favorite. I want to grow what we can eat in our household, and at the same time sell it to the. I'm talking to local chefs that do some specific dishes, and I'm asking them, okay, I'm starting this. Can I grow a test batch for you? So I'm forming those relationships. This whole year for me will be like making sure I have enough compost because I'm not growing anything on the ground. I want to grow in raised beds, not on the ground. So I need compost basically to fill those raised beds. I don't want to purchase soil, it's expensive. I want to make my own soil. This year is all about composting and trying with different varieties of crops, what works for me and what doesn't work for me. Another thing I'm focusing is on researching on gray water system, how to turn my laundry unit into a gray water system and use that water to grow some cut flowers because I want some cash crops. Flowers is a really good thing because we can sell it at the farmers market. So cut flowers is my main crop, then focusing on vegetables that I can sell to chefs.
Class. Have you considered edible flowers as a cash crop?
I think with edible flowers, I have to check on the seasonality. Summers they
Yeah.
take more water, more time and energy. Again, I want to stack functions on like what works best for me. And on the side, I'm not letting go of vermicomposting because I'm experimenting with just coffee grounds, and I have a mushroom farm out here where I collect their substrate, like the mushroom substrate. So I'm making compost just with coffee grounds and mushroom substrate because that's a little cleaner for me and feed it to the earthworms.
Yeah.
So vermicompost is in the mix, but for me right now is like build that soil because I have to purchase 20 raised beds and 30 fruit trees by the end of December this year, and I need compost for that.
Yeah. That's no, it's exciting stuff. Are you documenting this anywhere? Can people follow you on YouTube or Instagram or it's
Um, Instagram, my sister is helping me recently. I hope I can document more again. I'm always with a pitchfork in my hand. I don't know how should I hold a camera with one hand and pitchfork with other hand. So in the grant, I kind of thought of these things, and I allocated funding for a social media content creator. So I have students out here that are doing graphic designing or social media classes. So they are going to help me to document these things once I have a clear schedule for myself.
yeah, I tried. I made a video a few months here before Christmas. It is difficult, and to me, it sort of took a bit of the enjoyment of going out to the garden when you have to set a
Yeah.
camera up, and then it becomes a job instead of
Yeah.
a career. And then, but then everybody's telling you no,
Yeah.
promote your business on social media. And it's like, all right,
Yeah.
then I'll do it. And it's something I've been going around in circles with. So I've been trying to figure out a way to make it easy, but I haven't really come up with something yet.
I think what worked for me is like some of the volunteers that come and help me, they are interested in a certain thing. Other than volunteering, some of one of them is interested in like shooting with a camera or with a cell phone. So I'm like, okay, can you try with me? Can you be my testing person? And that really helped me because they know about compost, they know about permaculture, and they know, hey, this is not a job for her. This is what she loves to do. So I need to shoot her when she's doing her work. I cannot ask her to pose for the camera. So my social media person is really good like that. She's like, you don't have to stop for me, you just do yours. I will shoot what I needed and I will put together. And sh- once she started doing social media for me, my following went from like 80 people to 30,000 people in 3 months
Wow, on Instagram,
on Instagram.
that's awesome.
That's really good because I can see the difference. And and I started posting on LinkedIn by myself, like writing. But then I was able to like put some money in the grant. So that's another resource. You can ask students to ask them, hey, do you want to just test with my project? But this is what it should be. I don't want to stand there and talk to you about permaculture or compost. I just want to do my work, and can you figure out a way to shoot me and put together those things?
Right, so they do it as like a school project,
Yes,
like
you can ask the,
yeah.
yeah, you can ask a high school. I don't know whether you have 4-H groups out there. We have like 4-H groups out here, like our homeschooling kids, they need an activity to do. You can tap into the homeschooling parent community because their kids are coming out to learn about composting, learn about permaculture, learn about growing food, and at the same time, at least one of them might be interested in shooting with a camera.
Yeah. You've completely shifted my thinking here because for me, I was just going to try and do it all myself.
Yeah.
But you seem very adept at building teams and putting things in place.
Yeah, I think that's something I learned. This is not a one man show or one woman, one person show for any of us. I think rather than going hiring a professional, I want to have an amateur that can grow with my organization or grow with me. It's like I will help you to build your business. If you're good at this, because I have all these resources for the past 3 years since I guess 2021. That's what I did. I learned every book on I can find at the library on business, money, or how things work about sustainability, permaculture. So now I have like a list of resources that I can share it with people. It's like I don't want to do that, but I know where to get somebody like who is a beginner and help me out.
Yeah, no, I think that's fascinating. Very helpful for our audience too,
Mhm.
who are people who are starting out in their projects, to share. And we touched it on earlier. So that the law. So
Uh-huh.
you're teaching farmers about the opportunity,
Yes.
so that they can get into composting.
Yeah, most of the farmers are already doing composting one way or the other way, where I want to go them and I want to build a bridge for them with the cities. Because most of the farmers don't go to the cities. They don't have time. They don't even have time to sometimes take care of themselves. So I want to go and talk to them. Hey, I can do this for you because you can get a little bit extra money and your compost is in good place. Why you I literally want to help them to stack functions because they're already composting, they're already using on their property. It's like we are just adding stacking one more functions. If we tell the city how much compost you're making, they can write a check for you.
Right, and farmers like money.
They need money. I don't know whether they like it or not, but they need
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And how has been the response from farmers? Is it resistant at start and then they're open to it, or
I thought farmers market became my best friend. Every Saturday, I was there talking to the farmers, and I'm going to visit eight of those farmers in the next 1 month. I was scheduled to go out to their farms and see what they are doing. And at the same time, I don't want to go and tell them like you have to do this, you have to do this. I want to see what they are doing and see how can I help them. So I spoke to eight farmers. I don't want to like take them all the way to the end unless I see what are their operations, how at what capacity they are operating. But they are very receptive when I said them, hey, there is a way the city can pay you a little bit more, like for your compost, they can pay you a certain amount for your compost. That really interested them. I'm not going to them and saying you have to practice permaculture, you have to care about circular economy. I'm telling them like you're already doing something and there is a way to get money for it. So that's what they want to hear.
Yeah, and I think that's what's wrong a lot of the times. That's a really good way of doing it. Is by say you're not throwing some sort of uh, how would you say that? You're just throwing some sort of moral superiority. You're
Yeah.
or telling them they're doing it wrong, or saying if you do it this way, you
Yeah.
get paid, which
Yeah.
I think is how most of the world works. That it's think people are motivated, and if you motivate them, they make the right decisions. They'll make it.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think that's a lot of times a lot of damage is done when someone's not motivated to actually look after the planet or act beyond the three ethics because it's too costly and
Yeah.
it hits their bottom line, so they don't do it.
Hmm.
And again, I don't like taxing people either because tax is not it's not an incentive either because they find
No.
ways around it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's been my another project where is like learning about money, how money flows through the country in America, because I came from India, we were never taught about these things in school. So I'm learning these things and I'm trying to put them practically into my business.
yeah, it's great to learn. We sort of have a class system here where we have the ruling class who are taught about money sent to Eton and all the private schools, and
Okay.
then the rest of us plebs then we're not taught about money. Uh, and I think I see a few memes going around the internet as well. It's like they don't teach you about money, they don't teach you how to grow food,
Hmm.
uh, and they don't teach you survival skills.
Yeah.
And that's the three things you need to learn to survive in the world. Uh,
Well, I guess to that point, Cormac, so I made sure that I'm taking care of those things for the people in when they're coming for me to volunteer. We are a huge volunteer community as well because Palm Springs is a retired spot. People who retire all over the world will come and have a home in Palm Springs or on this side because that's what they do. They love it here because there is sun all year around. So if a volunteer is coming to help me with my project, I will ask them, what do you do? How much you make? What is your financial situation? Because if you are volunteering here, but you have to go and work two jobs to pay your bills, I don't want you to volunteer for me. I want to make sure I can pay you. So I can find that money, but I want you to be honest with me. What is your finance? They're not going to tell me these things in the first meeting or whenever we meet. But I have a lot of people that are retired completely. I will ask them, hey, this is how I'm running my business. This is how I want to run my enterprise. If you are completely retired, you have financial stability, come and volunteer for me. But if there is a person who is not retired, I don't want them to volunteer because they have very little time to make money. And if they don't make it, they have to struggle. So I don't want to rob them. If I know those things and still if I'm letting them to volunteer, I am stealing that time from them and I don't want to do it. So I make sure like when people come, that is like my in the standard operations procedure. I will tell, even though you're working with me, either you have to copy whatever you're learning here and practice it somewhere else. And if you want to start a business, just like me, there is no competition. We need more people like us. I will give you all the resources. I will help you, or if needed, I will invest in your business. But if within the 1 year, 2 year, 3 year mark, if you're not starting your own business, we have to sit down and talk, because that's how we grow wealth together, by helping each other. So those are like my base principles: people, planet, and profit. I don't want to take people for free when they are not completely retired and financially stable. And people that are coming and working with me, they have to think about starting a business in the next 1 or 2 years while they're working and learning from me.
I think that's fantastic, and well worth sharing. If someone was interested in learning from you, would you offer paid consultancy so someone could learn? Say any of our listeners.
Yes, I think I can share my Calendly link right now. I do hourly consultation. I'm still figuring it out. For me, learning about business is a different thing, right? I want to do this for the planet. Good, but how can I make this money with this? In the US, we have Small Business Administration. I don't know if you have anything equivalent to that on your part. So they train me how to do the business. They're like, Prema, what you're doing is great, but if you can't pay yourself, or if you can't pay the people that are working for you, it is not a good business. So Small Business Administration is helping me how to do consulting, how much to charge for consulting, why my price is higher than what it's supposed to be, or why, all these things they're helping me, and I'm learning. Yes, at this point I do consulting. If they just want to talk about a business idea, or if they want me to help, I'm doing full on consulting as well.
Great stuff. Well, definitely share your Instagram and your calendar link below. Is there any other links you want to share? Uh,
LinkedIn properly, because that's where you found me. I
yeah.
did not realize how powerful is LinkedIn for people that are actually in permaculture or composting or anything related to sustainability. I can share, copy and paste it in the chat.
You just send it to me later, and I'll put it in the description.
Okay. Yeah. So
That's
yeah, I will share my Instagram, LinkedIn, and a Calendly.
yeah. So you mentioned LinkedIn quite powerful. How? Do you want to go more into that, or
Which one?
do you want to tell us more about LinkedIn and how for permaculture professionals?
Yes, I think it's really interesting, because I was not posting anything on LinkedIn, and right now I have almost like 500 people following me or connected with me, just because I'm telling something every day about my work. And I'm writing an article every week. I'm using artificial intelligence. It's been really helpful for me. So I'm posting an article on permaculture, what I'm doing with my business, and that's been really wonderful, because now I'm getting some contracts through that, where people want to do consulting. They're like, hey, can you help us on this project? So I think people should really get on LinkedIn if they are seriously thinking about doing permaculture or any sustainable thing as a business.
So you write an article once a week and you post every day. What kind of posts are you putting out?
Um, I am posting an article every Tuesday morning, but Monday through Friday, I will try to post something, whatever it might be. Right now, I'm posting about the projects I finished. Like, I finished 8 projects. So I already wrote them over the weekend, and I scheduled them for this whole week. So there is that
Right. So
opportunity. You don't have to sit down and write it every day. You can prepare it and schedule it for the whole week, and they're on time. They're not late.
yeah, I'm trying to get better at LinkedIn. Considering we're this podcast is for permaculture professionals, I sort of thought try and get better at it. So I've added a lot of people. What I found though, I added like say a dozen contacts the weekend, and I like to email everybody. Then after
Uh-huh.
that was so much work then because you're spending a few hours then emailing
Yeah.
everybody saying thanks for connecting
Yeah.
and just asking them what they're up to.
Yeah.
And it can get quite out of hand very quick. But I how do you use AI? You said you
I'm
use AI there.
I'm using currently ChatGPT and Grammarly, because English is my third language. It's not my first language. I'm still learning a lot. I have like different projects in ChatGPT, everything from my business planning to other things. So I kind of write, hey, this is what I did today. Can you write it professionally so I can post it on LinkedIn as a post? I'm not asking it to generate something. I'm saying, hey, this is what I did today, and can you like turn it into a professional post? Don't use emojis because I don't like emojis. Academically, they are never gonna put emojis in a scientifically reviewed paper.
Yeah.
I don't think so. In the next 10 years or 15 years, they're not gonna put emojis in a scientifically reviewed
That's
paper. So
good.
I'll say make it scientific and make it
Uh,
professional. Don't use a bunch of emojis, and then I just copy and paste it and schedule it. But I make sure whatever the content I'm posting on LinkedIn, I copy and paste it in a Word document as a running document. So if I hire a social media manager, I can give them this documents and say, here is the content. I have this already. How can you turn this around for other social platforms? So the first thing I did with ChatGPT is asked is like, I want to do articles on permaculture for 52 weeks for sure, and I want you to give me ideas from beginner level to advanced level. Then it gave me like 52 articles starting from beginner, intermediate to advanced, and I did not like some of them, so I had to like change the topic or rearrange it. But it was really good for brainstorming and organizing myself, what to prioritize and what not.
yeah, it's definitely a great tool. I used it today to write an article. So basically, I organized the seed and plant swap
Mhm.
during for Saturday there, and I just had a brain dump in no particular order of just the bit of background, everything that happened, and then I asked DeepSeek, could you
Oh,
structure this and don't change the language
okay.
and put it in a blog post? Then it sort of unjumbled my brain dump and
Oh,
a
that's good.
structure. And then
Yeah,
I just read through it, changed a couple of things because it made stuff up.
yeah.
And I don't like when AI it just invents quotes.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like replacing your personal assistant or a personal manager for $20 an hour. I mean, for ChatGPT, I
uh,
pay 20. I haven't started DeepSeek yet. I need to look into that this week or next week. But for ChatGPT, I'm paying $20 per hour. But it's like a, personal assistant for me. I have like different projects, like different pages for them, different folders. And, for LinkedIn content, I have a separate folder. So whenever I'm writing something for LinkedIn, I will just go to that folder. I'm not like going crazy all over the place. So
yeah,
yeah, it's a great tool, and our local university, like a local University of California, Riverside, they did a class on how to use AI for business purposes, and it's free. And
yeah. There's plenty of resources out there. Plenty of free resources. It's great.
free resources, LinkedIn Learning has really good classes on how to ethically make decisions when using AI, and it's like a 2 hour class, like different professors teaching the class. And that helped me something we call prompt engineering, how to ask ChatGPT or any AI questions. So I'm spending more time on learning things so I can be more efficient and organized.
Yeah, it's very powerful. So I can take a podcast now, our podcast, get the transcript, put it on the DeepSeek or ChatGPT, and ask it for a summary,
Yeah.
and it'll give you a summary of the conversation, which is really fast. Although what
Yes.
I tend to do is I'll take a note of interesting things that I think are good for
Mhm.
no, and then ask it to focus on that and please extract this information and put it in a post.
Yeah, and another AI tool I'm using is called Otter, Otter. It's an app. So I'm going to so many conferences right now. Like I go to the conference on composting, I go to the conference on community composting, I go to the conference on food waste or climate related conferences. And who wants to sit down and listen to a conference all day, like 10 different topics? So I just turn on this Otter in my phone, and it records everything as a transcript. And then it summarizes that workshop for me. So that's been really helpful because after the second workshop, my brain is not functioning anymore.
Yeah. I always love conferences for the networking and get the chat to meet people, seeing what they're up to.
I
Mm.
did that, but this year I really, when I went to the composting conference, I really wanted to focus on like marketing of compost, how the big organizations are marketing their compost, because there are like different compost types, right? And at the same time, I wanted to learn about public private partnerships, how businesses like for profit businesses, because for cities or governments, it's easy to give money to non-profits, but they don't want to, they are not that happy to give money to a for profit. So I wanted to learn those things. So there are like workshops on public private partnerships with examples how this company was able to make a contract with city to run their wastewater treatment plant and compost at the same time whatever is coming out of it. So those two workshops has been my main focus this year. And again, just network with people, add everybody on LinkedIn.
Yeah, great stuff. Prima, you're a wealth of information, and thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you.
Any final thoughts?
Uh, Keep doing this. I think we need more, people talking about these things and turn every opportunity into a business opportunity so we can follow the permaculture ethics.
Great stuff, and thank you very much, guys. That was Prima Walker on the Permaculture Vine podcast, and we'll see you all next week. Cheers.